Hey everyone, it's Cliff. Gorilla filming this with no tripod, so I apologize in advance for the shaky cam. But as you can see, my next video turned out not to be an update on the Dell Optiplex GX260. I ended up getting pretty busy with other things, so I just haven't had the time to look at it. Haven't had the time to install Windows XP, but that is on the to-do list. As you can see in front of you, or in front of me, from the camera, we have a Supermicro X10SRA. This is a LGA socket 2011 V3 or socket 2011 V3. This is a Broadwell Haswell based Xeon system. I forget the exact CPU in here. I have to pop the heatsink off anyway because I want to repaste it. I got this relatively cheap. It was, I believe, in a video, not necessarily video editing, but maybe like a video display system. The case was all beat up. There was no drives. The power supply was bad. All the GPUs were missing. I assume it was in the GPU system because all the slot blanks were missing, and there was power leads basically for 3 of the slots. So I'm guessing there was probably like multi-GPU in here. And like I said, the power supply was bad, so I tested it with a working power supply. Bootboard boots up just fine. So I'm guessing that's why they decided to trash the system. I've since gotten rid of recycled basically everything. This is the one component that I have left from it. So what I'm going to be using this for is my friend. He currently has a ThinkStation D20, which is first gen core-based Xeons. I think that's a Westermere in Nehalem. I can't pronounce it. It's that generation. And basically, he's not really able to play the latest games on that anymore due to AVX. So most modern games like Halo Infinite, I believe Cyberpunk when it launched, I mean, it still might do it. I haven't played it since it launched. Battlefield 2042, if you want to play that, they all require AVX instruction sets, or AVX instructions, which the original Core i series based processors, which includes like the first gen Xeon after they moved from Core 2, or Core 2 based Xeons, do not have that. So the games won't even launch, unfortunately. So I believe this is a Broadwell or a Haswell-E. I forget which generation. Those are V3 and V4 Xeon E5s in this board. I think it's the later. I think it's a Broadwell base. They're both, I think, I think Haswell might be 22 nanometer on this platform, and then Broadwell would be 14 nanometer. I'm not 100% sure. But the nice thing is that this is a DDR4 based system. Here, let me get a better shot of that. There are 4 16 gig PC2400 DDR4 memory modules in here and quad channel. I believe these are, I know these are ECC, but I also believe they're registered. Not 100% sure. I need to double check on that. But overall, the board's got a pretty nice layout. It's pretty, I mean, it's got a nice layout, but it's pretty bare too as well. It has the Supermicro TPM installed already, so that's nice. I believe this is a TPM 2.0 chip, so relatively recent. So Gen 3rd, 2022. Oh, okay, yeah, that is pretty recent. We also have a one USB header. So there's no more other, like there's a whole bunch of pads, I think, for buttons and stuff. It looks like for overclocking, I guess for more of a consumer oriented board. But only one USB header is a bit of a pain. I do have an extra USB 3 add-in card for this, because I'll show you in a little bit why we'll need that. But there is integrated audio. There's a Realtek chip shown around, I believe, right here. And the front panel connector is in a wonky position. It's right here, but better have it than not have it. There are 4 PCIe Express x 16 slots, or by 16 slots. This one is by 16, then it's by 8, by 8, by 8. That's plenty of PCIe Gen 3 lanes, not PCIe Gen 4, obviously. These are 1X slots and a 4X. This is nice from the board. You can see exactly what the electrical connections are for each socket. There would have been an IPMI code here if this board had the A-Speed controller on here for the integrated VGA. It would have been more of a server feature. That was denoted by the X10SRA-F. So that's obviously missing. You can see the solder pads for that here. So as I said, there are 8 memory slots, 4 of them which are currently populated with 64 total gigs of RAM. There are plenty of SATA slots, SATA sockets, I guess. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There are 10 total SATA ports. I believe these are all SATA 3, 6 gigabit per second. Standard power connector, standard 8-pin connector, a nice CPU cooler on here. So this is good. I believe there's either a 6 or an 8-core based Xeon in here. If you want to use this for gaming, which my friend will probably be primarily doing, for the Xeons of this generation, you want to go with a lower core count, higher clock Xeon. I think you'll get performance similar to probably a first-gen Ryzen-based system if you find one of the faster clocked Xeons from this generation. I believe they're roughly equivalent, but the whole game plan is to get my friend out of the D20, which is a proprietary. I mean, like, you could put regular components in it, but I won't recommend it because you need to modify a few things like the front panel connector, but we're going to get him moved over to a standard, this is a standard ATX motherboard, so we're going to get him put into a standard ATX case with all, regular components. So he'll bring his GPU over, which is a GTX 1050. He has a bunch of whole drives, a bunch of add-in cards. So we'll get everything installed, and then we will see how it performs, or how much better it performs compared to that first-gen Xeon. First things first, I'm going to pop off the cover, and then see the CPU under there, clean it off, re-grease it. And I'm also going to show you what other components I'll be using for this build. So I'll see you in a second. And here are some of the other components we'll be using in the system. We have a Corsair power supply. This is an RM850X. This is an 80 plus gold, fully modular unit. I told him not to skimp out on the power supply, especially because if he plans to upgrade his GPU in the future, they draw so much more power than they used to. So I recommended something that was a quality unit in at least 850 watts. So this will last him a good time. It's going to be going into a Corsair 110R case. Box got a little messed up. Hopefully the case is all right. This is my anti-static, safe, not working rug. So I haven't damaged any computer so far when working on it. We have the motherboard I/O shield. We have 4 fans for my fan collection that will fully fill in the case with the maximum amount of fans, I believe. We have a funny card from China here. This is a USB 3 card. This is a combo card with a Type-C and a Type-A port, and then a Type-C header and a a Type-A front panel header. As you can see, I already attached this little wonky USB 3 to USB 2 adapter. I use this a ton, I find, recently. That's for these Wi-Fi cards. So this is another thing from China too as well. This is an M2 to PCIe card with the USB Bluetooth breakout for wireless cards. So we can install a, let's see what kind of chip this is. This is a 9560, an Intel chip, or an Intel Wi-Fi card. So that's going to be powering the Wi-Fi and Bluetooth for this system. And the Bluetooth needs to go over a USB connection. So this goes to a USB 2 header, which will connect to that card. So basically going to connect this into that. And then obviously screw in some antenna for a wireless connection. So that's what I'm going to be installing in the computer to start off with until he brings me his other system and I can migrate over his GPU and drives and everything. So I'm going to go ahead and now pop the heatsink off the machine, and we'll see what the CPU is. So I'll be back in another second. Turns out this is a Xeon E5-1650v3, so not a V4. So this is a Haswell-based Xeon, not a Broadwell-based Xeon. A bit of a bummer, but still perform better than one of those first-gen Xeons in the D20. It's kind of similar to a Core i7 5320 or 5390K. I believe that was the X99 socket, or the high-end desktop equivalent. The nice thing is this has a base clock of 3.5 gigahertz and boosts up to about 3.8. So that's pretty high clocked for a Xeon of this class, which will help it perform adequately in games and stuff. So we're going to go ahead, get the CPU repasted and the cooler put back on, and I'll just start building the system and post periodic video updates if I feel like it. So I don't know when I'll see you next, but I will see you hopefully with a system that's almost fully built. So we'll see. Apologize for the noise. I have my AC on and my one of my desktops on, so you might hear a fan in the background. But as you can tell, this is a clean build by the carpet. But just finished moving over my friend's drives, so we got them all cabled up. There's a space for another 2.5-inch drive, but he doesn't have one. I could always run an extension cable from this free one, or just plug it in another modular cable. But overall, this is very clean. I really like this case. This is a Corsair 100R case, and
I was able to do an excellent job cable managing it, as you can tell. So I'm gonna go ahead, put this back cover back on, and then flip it around and show you the inside of the system. Be back in 1 second. And here we are with the inside of the system. I just installed my friend's 1050 Ti, and also did a little bit of cable management. I have these two I don't know how well you can see at the camera with the light, but I have these two PCIe Express cables, both individual cables. I'm gonna put them in this 5¼ inch bay for storage. So when he ends up upgrading his GPU, I can just pull one of those down and plug it into the power. So I'm gonna open up the other side of the case and see if I can anchor these two cables to the side. I don't think they're going anywhere, but I'm gonna make sure that they're anchored around so they don't shift. But as you can see, this is a very, very clean build. Very nice. Came out excellent. So I'm going to go ahead and now start working on updating his operating system. I'm going to boot it up, make sure everything works, update drivers, and call it a day. So everyone was good making this video for you, and I will see you all in the next one.